Evening, welcome in. Just gonna finally turn off all this chatbot thing where it tells people off about using long words and stuff like that. And then I need to turn off some automated stuff and then we'll get going. That's it, I think now. That should be no longer telling people off if they use long messages now, because that's been a thing I've needed to do for ages. Morning. We are going to be doing, hopefully, well, we've got more than this, but this is the last one I'm going to be doing. A Neo Geo AES build I'm going to try and get out for Christmas. So this was only ordered like 5 days ago. Technically, it's not like it's too late in essence to get it ready for Christmas. I'm going to try. It should be fairly simple. I've got quite a few. I've got a shell here. We're down to a few left now. So this is, well, I say, oh yeah, the shell's no use, got a crack in. But I've got a few more shells. I was going to use the shell out of this one because it's been a donor for the B1 chip. But if not, I've got another one. So we've got another one here, for example. We can use, this has actually got a board in, but I think the board in this one is non-working. So save repairing a console, as well as having to mod it. I'm just going to use, hopefully this working one. This is on the shelf and has a UniBIOS already in. So I'm going to make the presumption that's already a working board I've had at some point and done some work on. This one, however, I mean, this may work as well, and this is already shelled, but I'm going to go for this one first underneath. And then obviously it needs reshelling. And basically the customer's having is a clean RGB light. So this is a light around the power button that can change colour. It's having a clean power USB. So we use, I personally just at the minute use a Master System 2 clean power and epoxy it in place until I make a dedicated, that is, a bit of dust or a grub, until I make a dedicated Neo Geo clean power, which is definitely on the cards. That's all I do at the minute is basically, I just put a Master System 2 one on. And then we need to recap it, full recap as standard for any sort of prestige console. And then it's just having a cable HDMI output mod. So not an RGB then through an OSSC, just a normal cable one. So that's what we're doing. Well, I've got an alarm thing on my phone that gives you alarms when you've got a calendar notification. It's got ads in it. I might have to make an app to do that myself. What we're making is a Neo Geo AES. I should probably keep the shelf here so I can show you guys that don't know what it is. I mean, ignore this one that's a cracked shell, but basically these were home arcade machines. This one's got a giant crack through the shell, so this is, I've kept this because we can probably attempt some kind of plastic restoration on it at some point, see if we can get like a nice potential finish on that. But it's basically a home arcade with giant games like this that go in. So you had like, and this is again just a Neo SD flash card that's falling bits because these are terribly made. These are Tyrannian mods, way overpriced and terribly made. But this is a flash card to load the games off. Like with everything Neo Geo, everything's crazy expensive. So the consoles are close to £1,000 when restored, like just basically recapped and ready to go. Controllers are a few hundred, games are a few hundred, flash cards are close to 1,000. So a Neo Geo restored with RGB and a flash card is going to run you like £2,000. So these things are still as expensive as they were before TikTok's blocked us again after 5 minutes of being on stream. Not even that. Oh yeah, 5 minutes we've been on. Blocked us for selling stuff, even though I've not said we're selling anything. Everything. That's now 5 TikTok streams in a row. Got up to 75 viewers and then blocked us for apparently redirecting users to purchase. Where? You guys tell me where I've told you to purchase. It's like the running joke on this TikTok stream at the minute. I've got a blue tick on TikTok as well, and a dedicated person that apparently looks after you. Do they fuck? They do nothing for you. Nothing at all. Just a tick on the screen. Can't even stream on there without getting blocked. Alright, so that's that TikTok window closed. The people that are now in will be the only people in TikTok. You won't see any new ones. So I'll try and look at the chat, but I've just closed that window for now. It's not even worth keeping open. Just jump on YouTube or Twitch if you watch on TikTok, because that probably won't last much longer. I doubt we'll be wasting our time streaming on there. Right, so let's get into the, I guess, recap. Well, no, actually, we need to test if this works. I haven't even tested if this works yet. Let's solder some wires on. So one of the important things on these is, and I unfortunately saw a video on Tronics Fix, I think it was the other day, repairing one of these, and I cringed straight away when he just plugged 9 volts into the system, and I was like, oh, I hope he hasn't got a 5 volt. And then he opened the system up, and I saw that, and I was like, oh no. So the first thing you do before you ever power up a Neo Geo is open the thing up. Look for a big coil here, big orange coil. If you have that, you're safe. 9 volts, 5 volts is fine. If you have this, however, just a black thing, you shouldn't be plugging 9 volts in. Won't necessarily kill the system straight away, but it definitely will kill things. It'll overvolt these, it'll overvolt every chip. All the ESD protection inside of these will be kicking in, so every single pin on most of these chips will be basically running through the ESD protection to try and move away that 9 volts. So it won't kill it straight away, but it'll certainly massively age the console. So this is a 5 volt one. It's a lot rare. It's one of the, I think it's the early ones, the 5 volts, mainly because as well, you normally have the BIOS here, and you can see it's up here that we've already swapped. So the layout's completely different on the 5 volt system. So for that, the back pins are always the same though. So putting power into here, and it looks like maybe, I don't know, that's factory flux or maybe our flux from a while ago. But if I've already worked on this, then hopefully this is a working console and just one in stock ready to use. Oh yeah, the Tronic Fix one. I was like, oh, please don't be 5 volts, and then I was amazed it was still working. Like the fact it didn't kill it straight away. But it's like I say, there's a lot of these old systems, they're just built in with ESD protection for mainly. It's designed to obviously stop static and stuff. But it just passes the excess voltage through diodes that then sync it to the ground or VCC rails. So the diodes inside the chips will be getting hot. That's the same reason the links can survive 9 volts for a while, can survive for hours, but you are doing damage to the chip. Right, so with my super safe 2 red wires, let's make sure we power this on the right way, because reverse voltage will do a lot more damage than over voltage in this case. Got my bench. It's on 5 volts. Right, so do I pass this through the multimeter for the sake of showing current? Nah, not really. I'm just going to show you like the current draw, but it's not really needed. Right, that's ground. Yep. This one will be 5 volts. And then let's get the, I need a, what shall we go through? OSSC retro scale. We'll go through the retro scaler. So the customer's having a HDMI mod, but for now I'll just pass it through RGB out of this. So actually we'll need the OSSC. Turn that on, plug that in there. Hello from New Zealand. I presume NZ's New Zealand. Welcome in. And let's see we'll need actually we won't need a game. We've got UniBIOS in, so if I turn this on, we should get widescreen. Yes, that's a good start. Well, almost widescreen. But you can't rely on this HDMI capture thing. It's not. I need to really improve it because it doesn't capture. Well, I don't know whether I need to improve it. It doesn't capture color super accurate. It's like different per console than what it actually would be. But it handles like every retro console without a problem, which is what a lot of the other capture cards don't do. Ooh, there we go, first boot. Right then, let's get a controller. So I'll need to really, I probably need to play, to be honest, on this as the quickest test. Move that out of the way. We'll have, this is the newer version of the controller as well. So this is, I don't know if it's called the C controller, but this is like the slightly newer version of the controller. I've got the large rectangle original arcade sticks, but in my games room because I use them for my actual Neo Geo in there. We've got memory cards as well. So these are memory cards for saving your game saves. I think I've got a save for Metal Slug. Right, so let's try and memory test on this thing. I think, if I remember rightly, all 4 buttons and restart. There we go. Gets you to the. This is a built-in thing to the UniBIOS. Now we can say display data. There we go. So that's this memory card, Metal Slug. You can copy game data. Metal Slug has been copied. Change card and press A. So that's if you want to basically take a copy of this, load it into RAM, swap your memory card over, copy it to somebody else's card. Create a username, we don't need to. So for now, we will load a game. So we need to hold start and reset. And this should boot us into the SD card menu. I think it's start. Yeah, there we go. And then launch game. Metal Slug. Well, Metal Slug X. I don't have a save for Metal Slug X, so let's back out a minute. Just because I want to quickly test this. I think it was for Metal Slug. Metal Slug CD. There you go. Metal Slugs. Oh, where's it gone? Metal Slug Super Vehicle 001, and that's actually what a customer made me. So you guys notice over here, look what I've got. So that's the Super Vehicle. So the S01. So that's actually out of Metal Slug. If we load this up, I'm going to chuck it into RAM slot 1. This takes a good while. Well, usually it does. Depends on the size of the game, but this will take a minute or two. And then once it's in memory, you can load it a lot quicker. But you can like store a few games in memory, and then this thing should boot. So let's wait for that to load, and then we'll see. The reason I load Metal Slug is it's the only game I'm good at on the Neo Geo. Otherwise, I'm terrible at them. And to be honest, this has got major lag on stream. And I'm going through the OSSC, which I don't have set up yet for streaming. Go like so I can watch the CRT and play on screen at the same time. I've only got that set up for composite at the minute. There you go. So see how it says load? That's because it's detected the memory card, so we know it's loaded. Okay, that'll just load my high scores, and I'll quickly attempt to do this with major stream lag. Shouldn't be too bad. So you need to get back up here without going forward. Oh yeah, touch them. There we go. I was about to say, why are they not dying? They touch them to get the rewards off them. There we go. I'm not doing too bad. Don't think I've been hit yet. Famous last words. Give about a second now till I get hit. Oh, there you go, got hit. Right, so that's working anyway. That's all we needed to know. Oh yeah, you'll easily pay $2,000 for a Neo Geo. This SD card's like £700, I think. Neo Geos, if you buy them just off like Jaws or Sendico, you'll get them. If you're lucky, you'll get them £300-400, but that's stock. Nothing done to them. you definitely want to service them if you're going to use them. So sending it to somebody like us, the services are several £100 on these in general if you're going to have much done. Then the games, if you don't buy a flash card, the games are still hundreds. Like a cheap game will be 80. Good games like Metal Slug are like £300+. But honestly, it's one of these. This still holds up today for like gameplay. That Metal Slug, you can play all day long. It's absolutely amazing. It's like one of the best, I think, aged consoles for retro, for sure. So it's worth the investment, but just treat it like anything. If you're gonna pay for it, don't think of it as like it's a lot of money. Just think of it like you're buying a new phone or you're buying something for your car, or it's an investment. But if you're going to use it and play it properly, like buying a PlayStation 5 or something, I know it's dearer than that. Just think of it like that. I mean, how much do people spend on buying Call of Duty and then buying a few packs, and then you're down that much money anyway? Yeah, I'm still reading TikTok, by the way. There's just only going to be literally a handful of people on there. And you're popping up on stream, by the way, there, the little count. So you should see the little hearts go up. It's just a bit delayed. But yeah, TikTok have like blocked it, so it's not advertising it now to anybody else. So you're unlikely to see anybody else on. And basically every stream I'm doing, TikTok are just blocking, saying we're selling. Like, it's a company and I run it, but I haven't... the stream haven't even said that we're selling it, or that you can buy it anywhere, or send links and stuff. It's just ridiculous. If they don't block us, we get 500 people on TikTok live, but they blocked now the last 5 in a row, so it just kind of pisses you off, basically. Right, so first one, I think we'll start with the recap. That's simple enough. There's loads of ways of doing the recaps. I always mix it up every time I come to do a recap, just because you get bored of doing it one way, basically. So I'm going to remove all these blue ones, these aluminium caps. They're the only ones we're going to need doing. These polymer ones here are fine. All the others need doing. Lots of plastic in this area, so we'll probably do one technique here. There's a switch here and some sockets here as well. So we need to be careful. Basically, everywhere on the Neo Geo, you kind of need to be careful of plastics. Multiple ways we can take caps off. We can heat from the underside, so here's these 2 pins. You could get the iron on them, heat them up, pull the cap out. You can hot air them off, you can desolder pump them off. You can cut them from the top, warm the legs up, pull them out, and then hot air them clear. I don't know which one I fancy doing though. I think the early revision of the Neo Geo, if I remember rightly, these boards are fairly light in terms of absorbing the heat. So let's just start with, I guess, a normal hot air from above, which a lot of people don't do because you can blow the caps. And we might blow the caps. Really? Another alarm for my little alarm system. Go away. Yeah, that's terrible. Got an alarm system on that shows ads for games every time you turn an alarm off. That's crazy. Right, so I'm going to hot air this off and see what happens. Full focus. There we go. If you're going to hot air caps off from above, kind of heat around them first without melting. Like, don't point at this thing and don't point at these. And if you're, a bit worried about the plastics, don't do it this way. Go from underneath. But I'm going to try from above. Dry out the board a little bit first. With preheat, you can see how the texture starts coming back to the board. That's when you're drying it out. And then I'm going to get some kind of, I don't even know what these pliers are, but get these kind of pliers. And all the Neo Geo caps on most revisions, they're actually bent quite a bit, so they feel like you're pulling the traces out. So you have to kind of know the feel and the difference between, are you pulling the caps out, like, you don't want to pull traces, or is it just the bent legs you're pulling through? So I'll give this a go from the top first. I'm not liking how long it's taking from the top, so I'm probably not going to do that way. And again, because I've changed my hot air station not terribly long ago, let's probably go to this camera now. I've got to relearn the temperatures and workflow of this hot air station. So silly as it sounds, you get used to a certain station and a certain workflow. And this new hot air I've got is a lot hotter than the last station I got. So I've got to kind of relearn the times and the temps when using this one. It's pretty similar, it's just hotter, basically. I was looking at the SD card on eBay and it was 2K plus. I have a MVS. Yeah, if you've got an MVS, you can actually get I've got an MVS as well in the other room. You can get a 161 in one game cart for like £200. I think it's something like that. It's not crazy expensive. And that comes with most of the games you want. It's probably your best option, short of having to get a Neo SD. I wouldn't recommend the SDs. Crazy price, and my Plasticonic broke within no time at all. Yeah, this is, I think these are, I might even go to soldering iron for once on these, or desolder pump, because this is taking way longer than it should to. Yeah, one's loose now. You can kind of see from the underside that one leg's loose, but the other leg does not want to come loose. The ground plane is heavy, so much for this board being not a heavy copper. I think this is defo. I think going to be, yeah, because there's the cap. So even the cap has ruptured before this leg has come out. That's mad. Yeah, I'm going to just cut this one off and soldering iron this one. So let's cut that one off. And get rid of him, he's a 10. And let's go to try the soldering iron on this one. So what we have on there is, if we go to the overhead, you can see that leg come out, but the other one, see all this dark green? This is all ground plane. So all on the back, we have a massive ground plane. Flux won't help at all with hot air, won't do a thing whatsoever. It's mainly for your iron and allowing the flux to flow right, your solder to flow right, and it transfer heat. Flux on hot air just will smoke. Like, it'll reflow your pin, but won't help with removing anything, basically. So let's... what I should probably do, if we decide to hot air, I'd put some leaded solder on like this to melt it easier, but the fact it's taking so long with hot air, I'm just going to see how quick it is with an iron. I'm just going to do that to remove the leg. I'll probably try soldering iron the rest off on this board. Like I say, every board acts different. And then to clear this hole, I'm just going to get my desolder pump, warm up the pad and desolder pump the hole. And that's going to be the quickest way, I think, for getting these off. So we'll probably use soldering iron and flux to remove, and then desolder pump and hot air to clear the holes after, I think. Wow, this is very heat absorbent, this one. Nope. And that's got the leaded solder on as well. Now the overall board, once we start doing more caps as well, the overall board will be warmer, so this process will go quicker. Because you'll be, like, the whole board will be slowly warming up doing this as well. Wow, this is crazy. This is sapping the heat. I'll pre-warm a bit then. Let's pre-warm the board a little bit first. Oh, thanks for the sub. Yeah, we're recapping a Neo Geo AES. Very slowly at the minute. You know what I could do? I could use my... tell you what, let's use my micro hot air that I've been using to do this job. So for those of you that have not seen this yet, I've got a proper micro hot air station. And one thing I tried with it, when I brought it, the main reason I brought it was for doing this. Get the hot air on, very specific position, so you can really go over just the point you want. And then when it's presumed warm, should just be able to tap on. So let's see if we can do it with this pad. This is a crazy pad for absorbing the heat, that's for sure. Even this isn't working. Wow. Have the world's most absorbent pad here. So what, let's go to probably the only technique I don't use. Flux and desolder wick. Now I haven't got a very heat absorbent tip on here, and considering everything else is struggling with this, I don't give this much hope, but we have kind of pre-warmed the board quite a bit by now. And no, this does not seem the normal amount of heat to remove solder from a hole at all. Definitely not. So it's like I say, every board can be slightly different. You can see that's only gone halfway through. It's literally just not clearing this hole whatsoever. We've got a definite stubborn hole here for whatever reason. And don't ask me why. It's I think the answer for this one would just be a lot longer preheating the board. Just get the board up to, I mean, I don't like to preheat the large boards because you've seen when you do it on the other ones, it does tend to bow the board, which you don't want to do. Yeah, this isn't even, like, it's not even melting now. This is crazy. Oh, let's just max this thing out then. Let's go back to what I used to do, which is 480%, 480 Celsius and 80% airspeed. This is how I used to clear the holes before I went a bit more cautious on my temps. And let's see if we can get this out this way. But yeah, this is definitely not normal for the amount of heat needed to clear a hole. No, this is normally like a 5-second job. So hopefully the rest aren't going to be this painful. I'm surprised the board hasn't bubbled with all this heat, but yeah, there we go, it's starting to go. See, even the resistor's free floating now. There we go, finally. So, back to good old faithful, 480 Celsius, 80% airspeed. It's what I've always ran my iron at before I was killing Game Gear VDPs. So I guess for this board, it's tolerated that heat, so I guess we'll just run that for the rest of the board, because that was crazy. That was painful to watch. Ah. What's that, 30 minutes in and we've done one cap? Now, all these caps, every single one on this board, can be ceramic. The only one we're not going to use ceramic on is the big boy here, which is for the 5-volt rail. It is 1,000 microfarads, so we'll put an aluminium on for him, but every other one on this entire Neo Geo can be ceramics and is actually better off for being a ceramic. It's better spec for what needs to be. And also, oh yeah, actually that's a point. I've just wasted all that time. We don't need to clear the holes because we're using ceramics. So that was a complete waste of my time and yours. But at least you got to see me struggle. So, just remind me we don't need to clear the holes when I come to the next ones. So now, let's just fill that hole up. We just spent 10 minutes clearing out. And then fill you back in. There we go. That's how you clear a hole and fill it back in. Right then, next one. This will be a lot quicker now. So what I normally do, actually saying that, is I normally remove all the caps from the board first. So the normal way I'd work is hot air all these off, and then recap them. So let's do it that way, bit of more of a batch work. Yeah. I'm still tempted to hot air these off. So, like that. And then I can come in from over the top here, and we will hot air these off, I guess. And they've got component values, like you say, written on the PCB, so we don't have to worry about memorizing them. The only thing you want to be careful of is headphone port here. You don't want to apply too much heat in this area because the headphone port's resting on the PCB. So probably we'll come down, like quite far down on the board, like down here sort of thing, initially to get the heat flowing. Same for this slider here. You don't want to warm this slider up too much because even though it's not touching the PCB there, I have had these when I used to recap them. When I first started recapping them, I have melted one of these before and had to donor a Neo Geo, which you can imagine is quite painful given the price of Neo Geos. So these are probably one of the worst for recapping in terms of having plastic that can melt everywhere. You have to be cautious about what you're doing, basically. Yeah, so you can see that 480 and 80% airspeed is your friend. This is just eating through this, like that's taken seconds to get that one off. And this one's out, so that's what you want. And that's, like I say, the difference in changing equipment, so I've changed heat gun, and getting re-familiar with the new heat gun is all the difference. You can obviously struggle like crazy if you just have settings wrong or you're just not used to your tools yet. So you've just seen it there, how difficult the first one was to do, and how these new ones don't take long at all. And like I said, the biggest problem with the Neo Geo I find is because the legs are bent so much on the back that when you're pulling these out, you have to, I'm kind of looking at the top surface for them to wobble. So I can probably, well, I definitely can. Let me show you from the other angle. So you can see what I'm looking for, which is around here. So see if I can pull focus on off. Not quite there. So I'm going to have to, it's going to be tricky for me to show, but just so you can see it on one. We are roughly around here. So look at these legs here. So this leg there. Can I prop this up just enough to do this? Right, there we go. So I can still grab that. Now, as I'm warming up, this is what I'm looking for the other side. I'm wiggling the cap slightly. And see how nothing's moving at the minute? And I think it's these two legs I'm over. You'll see once I start to get the heat in this area, do a little bit of preheating, you'll see the legs wiggle. So see that leg now wiggling there freely? And then I'm waiting for this other leg further down to wiggle. There you go, now they're both wiggling. Now it comes out. So I don't pull until I see the cap wiggling, basically. That's what I'm doing. If you're wondering, like you can't see from the other side, that's what I'm basically doing. And the only reason you have to do that is because, like I say, the Neo Geo has, all the caps have got such bent legs normally. Like these aren't too bad, but most models have very bent legs, and there's no way of, they don't just fall out. You have to really pull them through. And if you don't warm the board enough first and you pull, you're going to rip traces. So that's why you have to be careful. can I just touch it with a soldering iron? You can and you can't. I personally find soldering iron is more work. Sometimes it'll work, yes, but the risk with the soldering iron is you'll warm the solder from the backside, and as you're pulling it out, it's cool on the other side, and then it solidifies halfway through and rips traces when you're pulling them out. So you can remove caps a million ways. My personal preferred method is hot air and removing, because the heat spreads through the board, not just one side, but everyone's got their own preference basically of how they prefer to do it. What am I working on? It's a Neo Geo, an old 80s, is it? 80s or 90s console? I think it's 90s actually. Might be 80s. I should know. I've sold that many of them, and I work on so many consoles. But yeah, it's basically a proper, I'd call it a proper arcade machine. So you load massive game cartridges off, and the system really is an arcade machine. It's basically a home version of what's called the MVS. What was it? What did MVS stand for? Multi-video system or something like that. Right, we've done them caps down there. Now we've got a ton up here, and then we've got a ton over here for the video circuit, and then we've got the big cap here. So there's a load to remove yet. Flip the board over, and let's carry on around here. I did have that thing I was hanging from the ceiling for holding the board, but I robbed it for the other room at the minute because I'm about to start live streaming on the software side of things as well. So for those of you that like software, I also do Angel 6, it's called. I do software videos as well, C# and stuff, and I'm about to start live streaming that in my games room, funnily enough. So you'll see all the Retro 6 stuff behind. So I robbed the little arm to hold up a new Elgato light. Morning, Mark. Welcome in. Oh yeah, these are crazy expensive consoles. Definitely worth those. It's one of the few I'd say is genuinely worth every penny. Like I say, I own many of them. I've now sold them all, bar I think 2 I've got left now. One's a donor because it's missing a chip, and this one's sold, and I've got one other that I think will need fixing up. But I did have, like, literally a couple of months ago I had 7 of these, but with doing these live streams, everybody started buying consoles more because they see them being done. It's definitely the ground plane on this version of the board that's the problem for removing. Like every cap I'm removing the free within seconds, and then it's like the ground plane side that takes another 5 seconds. What we're doing and why we're changing them. So what we're doing at the minute, we're removing aluminium capacitors. They're basically called electrolytic capacitors because they have electrolyte in them, which is an alkali, and it's basically what stores electrical charge. So you have a sheet in between electrolyte fluid, and it forms a barrier that can store energy, basically. So all that means is keeps you apply like 5 volts into the system, and then because the board's long and chips go everywhere and the chips draw power, it stops the voltage like drooping and having noise on and things. It's like an energy store, like having a bucket of water at certain places where you need water flow, so you're not waiting for it to come through thin pipes. But over time, and bear in mind these are like 20, 30 years old, the electrolyte in these slowly starts to seep out and rot the circuit board. So you'll get electrolyte onto the PCB, it'll rot the PCB. Not only are the caps no longer functional, they're not storing energy, the more danger is they'll leak onto the board and kill it. Basically, they'll eat through the board and damage it. So a recap is where you take these electrolytic capacitors off and replace them with brand new ones so they don't leak everywhere. So this is basically what I'd say is preventative maintenance. It's doing it before it happens. Otherwise, you can do it after, but you're better changing the capacitors before they leak. Otherwise, you have to pay to have them repaired by us as well. If you look on YouTube/retro6/live and you scroll back a few videos, you'll have a look at the Amiga 500 videos. That'll show you exactly what electrolyte damage does, where the battery's leaked. Well, I say battery, I always call it a battery. Well, I always call it a capacitor rather, but it's actually a battery. But same idea, the electrolyte out of the batteries has leaked and rotted all the PCB traces. So you really want to catch it before that happens, basically. Oh yeah, no, I wake up to the smell of coffee first, definitely. I have a good 2 or 3 black coffees, doing software and emails, and then I come into here and smell flux as well. But this is my last console before Christmas, hopefully. And like I say, this one technically isn't. We'll have to clear the holes on this big one as well. So as soon as I've taken this one off, we'll get the desolder pump and clear them holes. Yeah, this one was technically brought a little bit too late to make it for Christmas, but I'm going to see if I've got time to do it. It's not too much work. Right, that one's off, so let's quickly drop him down. Get to the overhead cam so you can see this. Pull focus, I guess, so you can actually see. There we go. So now we will desolder pump these holes, because we do actually need these holes clear. This is the one that's going to be an aluminium cap because it's so large. Yeah, you too, thanks. Hope everybody does have a good Christmas. I presume everyone's working for another day at most, maybe. Some people, like I've always worked through Christmas, but I've said this year for once I am not working through Christmas. Like, I'll work, obviously, because I always do, but I am taking 90% of the time off and chilling, and I'll just do streams and repairs when I feel like it, probably in the morning for a few hours. And then that'd be it for the rest of the day. But hopefully you guys will get some nice chill time off work over Christmas. So now we've got to remove this bank of caps here. So we'll flip the board over, remove these. This isn't a game or a PC, this is, for those that don't know what it is, it's one of these things. So a giant, zoom out, man, giant home arcade machine, basically. So this is like the top cover to one, and it's basically it's called a Neo Geo, and it's like a home arcade machine. You'll see it built up when we've recapped it. I'll be building it up and playing it and that and making sure it works. Right, while the board's still hot, let's try and keep this going. And we're over here. So same idea, we're basically, we zoom in a bit so you can maybe see something. So like I say, the recap on these, when I'm taking them off, isn't exactly that exciting because you can't really see much as I'm doing this. You just watch me take the caps off, but that's what it is. This is about exciting for you to watch as it is for me to do. And then once they're out, the recap's a bit more fun. You can actually see some soldering, something enjoyable. But the initial removing is pretty mundane. Why don't you use a soldering iron? You can do, but as I mentioned a few times, what you'll normally find with a soldering iron is as you're warming up the pads on the backside and you start pulling the cap through, if you're not quick at pulling it through, it solidifies on the top side and then you pull traces out. And the reason you can't pull these out fast on the Neo Geo is these pins are quite bent, so you have to be careful when you're removing them. You can't go with force because they're bent in and you have to wiggle and pull them out. So using hot air, that heat travels pretty much equally through both sides of the board. So you know when you start pulling it and it's loose at the top, when it's like loose at what is the bottom but the top for me, the bottom stays solidified, so you basically less risk of ripping traces. That's the reason I do it this way. Whereas every console's different, and every person does it different. But my personal preferred way of removing caps without ever risking trace damage is hot air. But like I say, everyone can do it their own way, and I do different ways multiple times. It's just that this is probably my de facto standard way of doing, removing caps. It's heat from the underside and remove, basically. You've got a recap and Master System 2 there. Oh god, yeah, they're the ones with the Master System or Mega Drive with tons and tons of caps. I've got one on the floor right here in Mega. Got a Mega Drive one, they're full of caps. But I think the 2 isn't that bad actually. Like the Master System 2, I don't think. I'm trying to think. No, I think you've only got a few caps on that, you know. I think you've got one big one for the LDO. And then a couple. I'm pretty sure, so I don't think you... someone's already... I say somebody, either me or somebody's already bridged these caps on the other side, so... where are they? See them caps there? All these bridges here. So they bridged over to remove the DC offset on this one already. Probably me, because this is obviously in my stock. I was probably doing a clean RGB mod, so it's probably already been... the RGB's probably already been improved on this, I'm guessing. But yeah, the caps on the output aren't strictly needed, depending on your output. But because the customer's using the HDMI cable, I'll test it first and see if it works better with no DC... with pure DC rather, or with AC coupling. We'll find out by testing it. Nearly done. Got like 5 caps left, and then onto the recap. I guess this part's the decap, not the recap. One, two, pretty sure there's 3 more left, and then we're done. And that's probably the biggest part of this job, I think, then. Is that all of them? Yes, I think we've done them all. Master System 2 won't boot without a game. Yeah, well, the Master System 2s have a Sonic or Alex Kidd ROM built in. I don't think there's a single one that hasn't. So you should get it booting without a game, yeah. The Master System 1 won't boot without a game. That didn't come with a ROM. But Master System 2 actually come with a ROM. Right, let's bin all these caps. And let's get some ceramics down. Ooh, shit, some of them are still hot. Right then, clear this desk a minute. Let's see now to get it quite zoomed in. Turn that power regulator off as well. Bench power. Shit, don't need that running because we'll be USB modding this. Where's the camera gone? There we go. Right, clean desk. HDMI mod, this one's having, customers opted for just the cable HDMI mod in this case, so it's not as good quality as having the RGB mod and then an OSSC. That's by far the better option, but that's like £100 more. So this one is with a HDMI cable. Still good, but just not quite as good. Do I get UK PCB shops? I don't know. Crazy price. Prototypes, £200-300. China free, because I use factories that I have used for years, so I don't even pay for PCBs to be made for samples. And then mass production, I get PCBs insanely cheap, because I order 1,000 at a time, but the UK just can't compete. I've tried it before, and it just cannot compete at all, not even remotely. I would, but you guys wouldn't want to pay the price of the PCBs. People already don't want to pay the price of crazy cheap PCBs. I don't make much profit on anything I sell. I always had the mindset to sell, for minimal profit, with the goal of selling more. So I don't really mark stuff up. I also, I produce literally 500 or 1,000 of every board, pretty much regardless of what it is, to keep the price down. And I have really good factories in China that I've worked with for years. So I know I can get good prices off them, basically. So no, I would use anything UK, like we sell UK flux now. But yeah, customers don't want to pay the price basically for UK production on some things. And so, recap time. As I mentioned, these are all going to be ceramics. So my technique for this is to blob solder on one pad, grab the ceramic cap, warm up, move into place like so, and then fill the other side with solder. And if you do it right, you get that. I'd normally clean off every pin, like every pad as we're going. So I'd normally let that cool and then just kind of clear off the flux, but this is going to have a full dishwasher bath after this, so I'm not going to bother clearing flux off. I'm just going to dishwash this entire thing. So we won't be worrying about doing that. And now we need to go down to here. These are 220s, so these we can stack, because these are actually for the audio side, so you can just stack 2 100s on here, or 3 100s if you want, or we can put aluminiums in. So to be honest, just for the sake on this one, let's clear them holes and put, let's just put some aluminiums in there. I wouldn't normally, but we might as well for this one, just to save stacking ceramics. Once they get above 100, you tend not to really want to use ceramics. but I do know from actually doing this that it's perfectly fine in this instance. But let's put some aluminiums on here. So I will put a bit of, I'm going to try use another way of clearing the holes. Soldering iron, and then if you're quick enough with the desolder pump, you can clear the hole like that. So it all depends on what part of the circuit you're on. Because these aren't on a ground plane, you can do this. If this was a ground plane, you're very unlikely to be able to use a soldering iron to clear that hole. But it's just about knowing the holes. Two 20s. Get them. Might as well put that 1,000 on while we're at it as well. And then we're done with the aluminiums. Then we were all ceramics. So we'll remember to put this in the right way. So on this board, you've actually got a plus both sides. So we can pass through on here. The long legs are the positive on the caps, so the long legs go through there. And these are 25 volt caps, so rated higher than the originals. If you're going to replace caps, make sure, the general rule of thumb, obviously can be different depending on circuit design, but general rule of thumb is make sure the voltage is the same or higher. There's no problem with a higher voltage cap, but you might get problems with lower voltage. But obviously there's more to caps than just the size and the voltage rating, but in 99% of cases, that's all you need to be concerned about. There we go. Trim them legs. And let's do the final aluminium one, which is this big one over here. And this is not strictly needed now because the power's coming from a regulated USB port, but we'll still put him on. What flux do I use? This is Solder King. We just started selling it again. I originally did sell it, and then we stopped selling it, and now we're selling it again. So this is on the website, Solder King. If you go to retro6.co.uk, you can go to, I think it's currently in the mods and something section on the website. And then the first category now is like soldering consumables or something like that, I've called it. That's where you'll find this flux. I've tried all of them. I was using Styri until a few days ago, and I've gone back to Solder King now. If you watched the stream on the other day on YouTube, if you go to the YouTube channel and then go to the live section, you can see the VODs. If you watch back the Game Gear All Day stream, that's where I show the difference between the Solder King and the Styri and how much better it is. So if you wanted to see that, you can. As I mentioned, I'm not clearing the flux off because this is going to get a full wash afterwards. So the entire board's going to get cleaned up. Right, so we are down to this area now. So let's position this nicely. I'm going to position it this way so that this plastic isn't near my iron, because if I position it the other way, my iron's going to be coming over this and I could accidentally melt. And we don't want that. Oh, thanks for the sub. That's another one. We also do sub-only streams as well, so I'll be doing sub-only streams tomorrow and Wednesday, hopefully, as well. We actually are going to start making PCBs very soon in there. We might even start it tomorrow. I've got an idea we might remake. So any subs that are in here at the minute, what do you think about remaking the Game Boy original? Like Why don't we just remake the PCB? I know it's going to be the first one, but 1/1/22/22. Should have slept in more this morning. So if we remake the Game Boy original, you're only really doing footprints, but we can kind of talk through. One, you can learn a lot about PCB design in general and what it does without getting too bogged down in designing your own circuit, but you're also then doing something useful. And I've got tons of Game Boys we can transplant over, and we can add enhancements. I just think it's a really good, it's quite an advanced starting point, but it's also sometimes just better to do that. Just go with something that interests people, not just, I think we were going to make a PC Engine cartridge slot, but to be honest, I'm not that excited about that. And we need to be, a big part of how I've always learned things is I've got genuine enthusiasm to want to know something or to learn something. That's by far the main reason you're going to learn something. If you want to do something and you've got a desire to do it, you're absolutely going to retain knowledge better than going through the process. So just, following steps. So that's why I'm thinking, we'll remake the motherboard for the Game Boy. And then obviously if you do sub and you're new on here and subbing, make sure you link your YouTube or Twitch username to the Discord channel, discord.gg/retro6. This iron is not working. I was like, why isn't this melting? Oh. Let's hope that's just a random glitch. Oh no. My soldering iron's died. Uh-oh. Okay, let's try another tip. Has my tip died already? This is a brand new tip. It's like a £50 tip. Go back to this one maybe. I hope it's that and not the... Yeah, the tip's died. Wicked. So brand new, literally brand new Wella tip. I'm going to have to get that replaced. Just dead. I thought it was struggling to solder then. So I'll put my old one back on that I've had for 7 years. This thing still works. Luckily, it should be under warranty, that should. I was thinking that cap there, then I couldn't melt the leg on it. And I've looked up and my iron's not even working. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to do. Is you saw me on the other cap being side to side like this. I was trying to reflow both pins at the same time so I could center it like that. I was trying to do it on that and nothing was happening. And like I say, it's because my tip was dead. Ow, tweezers are boiling as well. There we go. Felt like I was on that one forever. Another one here, 22. Just open up the master system and there's a wire going from pin 1 of the Sony chip to one of the cap legs. What is it, CXA1145? And I presume you mean pin 1 really is pin 1, like top left pin with where the notch is on the chip. Post a picture as well in Elite members if you've got it, and I'll open that up quickly. Now let me know if you do that, and then I'll just open up Discord and have a quick look. Because if it's oh yeah, got the yawns today. More coffee is needed, I think. Let's have a quick look at the CXA. If it is a CXA1145, which I think it is, top left pin's just ground. There's nothing really on any corner of the CXA that's of any use. But yeah, just have a look. Ah, Joey does text, and I just spotted. Are you on TikTok as well? That's well, how have you seen it on TikTok? We got banned after like 3 minutes. Well, they stopped pushing it. They like banned me saying I'm selling stuff before I've even started selling it. So I presume you must have found it because obviously we're linked on there. But yeah, TikTok's pissing me off for live streams at the minute, blocking me. Right, I think we're up to this corner now. We'll double check after I haven't missed anything. So yeah, we'll start with this one. I think that comment was like probably about 10 minutes ago as well. I've only just noticed. I'm just writing some software as well to do the chat because the chat doesn't always integrate. I noticed the other day. It seems to be working today, but we have obviously Twitch, YouTube vertical, YouTube horizontal, Facebook, and TikTok. And the chat in TikTok has to be a separate window 99% of the time. And then I noticed the other day quite a few streams, only one YouTube side was kicking in. Like the, it was either the horizontal or the portrait chat was coming in and none of the others. So I decided I was sick of that. So I'm in the middle of writing my own software to link in with all these services, and then I'll have complete control of the overlay then as well on chat, and I can do way more things. Like elite members could have custom commands that play sounds if they want me to, like get me attention or stuff like that. Or if certain messages come in, we could have completely custom overlays or things happening. Like you guys could switch the camera feed if you wanted. You could do all sorts. Could make it way more interactive because I'll be in complete control of the software side of things. So I'll probably get that written over Christmas, to be honest. We shall see. Ooh, chucking the tweezers on the board. Just sent pics and elite members. I will look at that when I've done this cap. Let me do this one other cap so I don't forget. And these 4.7s, by the way, anyway, you see 4.7 on the Neo Geo, you can just uprate it to 10 microfarad. The aluminium 4.7s often have slightly better ratings than ceramics. Ceramics are often devalued ever so slightly by 10 or 20%. So it's pretty common when I see a 4.7 and I'm changing to ceramics, I'll uprate it to 10. Right, let me have a quick look in Discord. Turn that noise off a second. Yes, it is a CXA. What on earth? That looks like a bodge job. Is that actually pin 1 then? If you rotated that around, because obviously I can't tell which way you've rotated the board. Is it the top left pin? So the bottom. If you were looking at the word Sony, is it the bottom left? I don't know why I'm doing that. I can show it on stream. Yeah. Trying to explain what the image is when I can just pull it up on stream. Overlay the PC. So is it this pin you're on about? This one here. Is that like pin 1? That is, obviously, that's pin 1. That's ground. And then if it's the pin above Sony, so you're saying it's this pin here, which I think is still ground, to be honest. It's still ground, so it's still the same pin. And then if I screenshot where it's going, move that over to there, don't save. There we go, that's the other one. So are we saying this pin, yeah, so this pin and this pin, you can see how they're joined anyway, going across. I presume that's them 2 pins. So that's just ground. And they've taken it over to a pin here, which is, there's the end of the CXA chip. And you've got 4 pins in a row, and then it's going to something, and that'll be on the Wordware Sony, as I presume. So if we were to look at that, the other side, it looks like it's going to the bottom of C25, if I'm not mistaken. So is it going to this pad here, bottom of C25? If so, it just looks like they're either restoring ground, or, because if you see over here, this is usually ground here, where you see this indicator, see this little crosshatch here on the pins, like that. That's a thermal relief for ground normally. Not always for ground, but it's a usual good sign, because ground's normally the thickest plane. C39. We can have a quick look. Simplest thing is if it's a Master System 2. Slight diversion off recapping, but let's have a quick look. Master System. I've got a Master System 2. Is there a Master System 2? The point, is there a Master System 2 PCB layout? Master System 2 schematic. I thought I'd got one saved. I might do, but not very clearly labelled if I have. Do you know what revision it is? PAL or NTSC or otherwise? Just see if I can quickly find a schematic for that version or some idea. PAL, yeah, so C39, you say. Let's have a look. I presume it's going to be on this circuit. Yeah, it's just a grounding cap. So it's part of IREF, which is current, I think IREF, let's see, CXA1145 data sheet. Right, so the IREF is basically for sorting the chroma signals and the luma and stuff, making sure it's got enough current to run, basically. So, which way around does it go? It's not very clear in the datasheet. Basically, if I pull this over, you've got, are we still, yeah, you can see it on stream there. Let me close that, I don't need it now. So you're on this pin here, IREF, and you can see it's got a resistor going to PAL NTSC, which is pulled to ground. So this is pulling IREF to ground by a 27k resistor. That's what sets the current. So if they've gone to this side, if they've grounded it, then it's going to completely remove the current from it or give it unlimited current. I'm not sure which way around it's doing. Lower resistance, more current, or higher. It's not very clear in the data sheet, but either way, it's adjusting the current that the circuit inside here uses to generate the RGB signals and the chroma. So it's very likely it's either just restoring a broken trace to this ground. If you checked if it was ground side, it's just a broken trace, or they've gone to this pin to short out IREF to ground, which will be adjusting the brightness of the image, basically, is probably the main thing you'd see, is like adjusting the brightness. It's probably a half-done mod to fix the brightness without fixing it properly. Here's what I'd say it's doing without looking at it. Right then, where were we? Oh, one up here we nearly missed. Do I sell flux in the US? Yeah, we'll be shipping our batch to the US first week of January, so it'll be available there as well. Yeah, if you've got the clean RGB coming, that's going to make no difference whatsoever. So just remove it back to stock and see if it still works, even if the colours are slightly darker. But yeah, remove it anyway. It'll be for the output side that you're not tapping into, so it's completely irrelevant. I don't think it'll make any difference, full stop. But yeah, you can just remove that. Right, that one is on. Where are we next? I feel like I'm missing some, but I'm not. It's because this layout's different than the normal one I work on. Right, we're just on 2 then, I think. Yeah, we are. We're just on to the video output caps over here. Really, well, a couple of decoupling caps and then the video caps. And that's the boring recap done. Then we'll get onto the power button. And then I'll probably, wow, is it 9 o'clock already? I've been slow at doing this. Yeah, we'll get this done and the RGB LED, and then I'll probably have to jump off and I'll wrap up the USB mod after. Got to get everybody else set on and work going and stuff. I didn't realise it was that late. It's that first cap. It took like half an hour to do one cap. Can't believe that 40-50 pound tip is already dead. That's crazy. And this tip is the one I've had for like literally 7+ years. This one on here. Like it's been, obviously this iron's been retired for a few years in between, but yeah. It's a brand new tip and it's just died on me. It's got to have had like literally 4 hours, not even 4 hours of soldering, I bet. So I'll see what I can do. Let's try and remember where I brought it from is the issue. I'll have a look around anyway. Hopefully I'll be getting a JVC soon, so it won't matter too much, but I still want my money back. This is not the angle for me doing this one. Turn this around. Oh, wow, this one's a awkward position. There we go. I can use as well, for the sake of it, just because I've got it. Shall we use the tweezers I've got? I never use them. Let's pre-flood these with some solder. And let's have a go at using the little tweezers. A lot of people like them. It's just never been something I've bothered with, to have to get out another thing to use. But considering I reset up this wire, I might as well reuse these little tweezers. They're perfect for this kind of job. So in order to use it though, I'll need to turn the board around again, because I want to put them on this way with my hand. So now I should be able to, where are they? All the way over here. I won't turn it on just yet. Let me just try grabbing. So what I'd do is, so here's the cap. I'd basically turn it around. I'd pretty much pick it up, place it on, or I'd maybe warm those pads up, place it in. I think I'd just pick it up and place it down and let go is the idea. So let's turn this on and see. Like I say, I never use these, so if you guys are skilled at using these tweezers, ignore my attempt at using these. Kind of works well. Feels weird. Just picking up the cap and it kind of melting into place, but yeah, that works nice. Just doesn't feel right. Just feels strange. It's a different motion. I'm not used to it. Weird. but it's definitely working. And then the last one is actually 10. Let's not forget that. And putting 100 on. I think it's still part of the AV circuit anyway. I think it's either audio or composite, so high would actually be better in this instance anyway, but let's put a 10 on. And I think we've recapped it then. So I guess we should then make sure things still work. Yeah, it just doesn't feel right using them. They obviously work, but definitely not used to that. Let me just try my my iron tip again, just to confirm it definitely is dead. So on here, you can see, I'll show you. You pick up the iron, it'll kick in, and take the tip off. Knows there's no tip. Put the one in I've only just brought. Yeah, it's definitely dead. Crazy. So I'll have to send that one back. Yeah, so dead tip. Better clean up first, and then we'll carry on. Yeah, oh yeah, I need a steady hand. I was thinking that as I was using them, you know, I wasn't sure that it was just me. As I felt like if I didn't keep steady, things were going to move and fly out, because you basically, nothing's locking down, is it? You're warming up both pads at the same time. So the cap's effectively just free floating in midair until you let go, and you have to let go slowly enough that one side melts and it stays in position. But they do work, but it's, again, a skill and a technique I definitely haven't practiced. Good job I had that backup soldering iron tip. I've even gone to town as well and brought this out. You saw it. Brought a little stand for them. And now they've already broken on me. Alright, recap done. Let's see if... Oh, did we take the wires off? Yeah, I did. I said I'll take them wires off because we'll be using a clean power. And then, I'll tell you what. Do I just attach the clean power now? No. Or do I? Yeah, sorry, let's do the clean power. I'm just conscious of time is all. I won't attach the clean powers in, get it, sorted to the board, but let's just install the mod. Be nice and quick to do. If you're going to do this yourself, this is why I don't sell this yet, because it's just a jerry rig on the Neo Geo, but I've sold hundreds of these. If you're going to use the mass system too, bridge this little C pad here. This is a fuse that's only rated for 1 amp. The Neo Geo pulls 2 amps. So just take this off. And then just solder blob over, or use a wire, or use a 0603 or 0402 resistor. Whatever works for you. I just normally find big wad of solder, and then you'll get a bridge over it. And that'll do for that port. See, this is what I always notice from resettable fuses. You get see this grey. This isn't flux here, this comes out of the resettable fuse, that kind of grey. Well, it looks more orange on here, but grey powder, it's crazy. That fully zoomed in, yeah. I'm also tempted as well to go to 4K on this capture stuff, just to see the difference. So this is obviously digitally zoomed. And this would be roughly how close we'd get with actual 4K that this camera can do. But I think the reason I don't at the minute is the Blackmagic overhead only does. Actually, I think the Blackmagic has it got SDI. I can't even remember. I think you can only get 1K out of the 1K out of the HDMI, and then you have to go to the SDI. I've got all the SDI stuff. But it just adds a lot more. Like when I come into stream, I have to turn on a few more things, and there's a few more bits involved. But I could do it. It's just like would it be worth it? Because this is already pretty zoomed in. I mean, you can see the scratches on my fingernails. So I think that's pretty zoomy in. But this is technically the max zoom on this lens. And then after that, it's digital. But yeah, I think it's... I just don't know. I'm semi-tempted to do the 4K just because I can, just to see what it's like. But then you might see how bad my soldering is if it gets any cleaner. So maybe we'll leave it there. Right, let's pull up the guide because I can't remember how to do this off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure we're just going to bridge the 5 volt. Almost 99% sure what we're going to do is bridge a pin from the power switch to here somewhere, and that's it, with it being a 5 volt version. But let me just pull up Retro 6 Wikis guide, what I wrote anyway. Pull it up on there. Yeah, God, I've definitely got the yawns today. Might take an hour off. What am I even looking for? There, clean power USB. So you can see this is me. Actually, that's using a Dreamcast 3D printed cover, which actually is not a bad idea. Because what I normally do is, this is a Master System 2, and I just cut that stump off. Same thing. You get a visual when it's covered by the shell. These work fine. But in the guide, I've used a Dreamcast cover. Solder to there for everyone, as we know. This one is not the one we're using. 3.5 is not the one we're using. 3.6 is not the one we're using. Oh, yay! I've not done this one before. Gonna have to figure it out myself. Right, and so what I'll have to do in that case is get a... I can't be bothered with schematic. Let's just look at it. I was going to say let's get a schematic. Right, so ground is always ground on these. It's common ground, so we don't need to worry about ground. Power goes from here around. It goes to this thing. Actually, it doesn't. It cuts around that pin, so it goes to here. Goes, I presume, through something here. Yep. So it goes through this little ferrite bead. This will be. So now this big fat trace coming down is the power. Goes into the power switch. This power switch switches over to this side. When it's on, that's all it does, just one switch. Goes into here. So this is now the 5 volt rail, which would be 9 volts and switching. So this would typically be switching. This will be the emitter of a transistor. And then the collector is the output, the base is being triggered. So all this circuitry here, probably, don't really know, will be triggering this base to pulse. And then the final output will be the collector. So the collector is going to be the 5 volt rail to the system. I guess we can prove that by probing the cartridge pin. I think top's ground, maybe this side's 5 volt. Where's 5 volt? Can't remember. Let me just have a look. It goes up. Yeah, big cap. This big cap's going to be 5 volts. So continuity on this thing. So, which side's ground? Right, so this side's positive, which means this should be positive. Yeah, so that's your 5 volt rail. So we can take this thing out, or to keep it in place for an easy reversal, goes up to here, and it goes nowhere on the other side. There's no traces this side of the board. So goes up. This is the first point where everything happens. And then from this point, there's a multi-layer board, quite clearly is. Goes inside the layers. Okay, so to play it safe, I am just going... Oh, no, to play it safe, that's broke off anyway. Moved it once and it snapped. I was about to say I'm going to remove that. It's removed itself. It knows it was about to go. I'm just going to bridge the emitter and collector and leave the base doing whatever it needs to do. So we can snap that off if you want, like I've done. Bridge these two pads. Plenty of solder. And I'm using thinner solder now, so probably should have tested this worked before we did a power up mod as well on one that I've not done it on before, but in fact, why am I doing this? It's 5 volts in, you don't need to do in a mod. Let's just put this back on. You can literally leave this on. So this is like, I don't even know what this is doing, to be honest, thinking about it, because this is a 5 volt input. So we don't actually need to remove. I don't know why I was even thinking about removing it. You can. You don't need this, but what's the point in removing it when it literally, it's going to have 5 volts into the circuit, which it's expecting anyway. So this might be like a voltage supervisor or something. I'd have to look at the schematics. So we actually don't need to do anything there. It's probably why I didn't do a guide on it, I bet. If I read my own wiki, I probably said just solder the input. And then that can we bend that down without breaking it further? Ooh, that's nasty. I mean, that's down, but that does not like bending. Right, so all we need to do is solder straight to this port, and this port can come out because we're not actually going to be needing it. So let's just take this port out first. What am I working on? Neo Geo AES, so a home arcade system, basically. Very expensive one. We're just recapping it and installing USB-C power, a HDMI output, which is just through a cable the customer selected, not a RGB. Like RGB would be higher quality and then go into HDMI, but the customer's opted just for the HDMI cable. Still really good output, but if you pay even more and go with a clean RGB and then an OSSC, then you'll get even better quality. And then thermals, UniBIOS, an illuminating reset button. There's a few other mods. We've done the recap, so replaced all the caps. We've got the reset button to do after this, and I'm just quickly chucking on here the USB power board. And so we will flip over, attach now the we're gonna have to have the wires the other side. Have the positive to the big fat pad and the ground to the one below it. So you can actually pass. Actually, we'll go from the underside because, if I remember rightly, you need to pass these through the board, and the USB sits on top of this pad, so we don't want to go through the hole because that's where the USB sits. You want to keep that flush the other side of the system. So that's the wires there. We'll get the USB pads here. You can see we've got ground and VCC. So ground wants to go through this side, VCC the other side, like so, and then we can just solder. Solder from this side. If I had 3 hands, we could. Come on, get a nice dry joint there, and then I can redo you after. There we go. The soldering tip desperately needs cleaning, it's black. There we go, a bit of flux. Now they're held in place. Get these not looking like horrible dry joints now. Trim them flush. Clean them off. And there we go. So that's the USB mod done on this. Obviously I'll have to fix it into place, but I said I'll do that later, no problem. So now, are we at the point of testing? I think we are, aren't we? We said, test this thing powers up. I'm going to use my dirty, noisy USB power. So you're going to get video artifacts on screen, but you can ignore that for now. That's just the cheap USB plug I'm using. I haven't got a... This is going into like my... I don't even know. Random USB plug over there. Pull this on screen. Turn it back on. Plug this in. So the USB will light up when there's power going in. And if I turn this on now, get nothing at all. No power. It's not drawing power though, so something's wrong. Ground power. What did we do blatantly, obviously wrong? Ground, I think, is there. Power. Got 5 volts there. This thing here is probably broke with a bend in it. So I think I'd have to get the schematic up, but let's just see if tweezers over here make it work, maybe. No. Yeah. I think if I wasn't just shoving tweezers in the system to turn it on, that's drawing power on my little bench thing. I just don't know whether that's that could be like an anti-reset circuit that we need to fix. So it's obviously something to do with bending and snapping that component. Oh no, it's what it might be is the giant blob of solder on the underside, maybe. It's just gone through the board as we're soldering. Doesn't look like it's shorting, but it doesn't look great, does it? Nice giant blob of solder there. Yeah, that'll be probably touching on the base and not letting that work. And I've got a feeling that's going to be the supervisor. So I know, just from memory, these things have voltage supervisors. So if they drop below a certain voltage, it turns the system into reset. It basically holds it in reset. So I don't know if that's the issue. And if it is, I'll probably just reverse engineer the circuit to fix it properly. But maybe that was just the only issue. Let's see. It won't be the USB mod because we've measured 5 volts in, so we know the USB mod's fine. It's just literally what it is. Putting 5 volts in. No, that doesn't apply power still. So I think this chip's probably broke, the one we've wedged in. Let's see if this boots up. See, that's actually locking on there. Maybe we just need to power cycle that. Yeah, it's struggling with sync. So I don't think this is the problem here now. I think we've got an actual, I think that is powering up, but the sync is not locking on, maybe. Let's try, what's this with? Let's try with the actual output cable first to see if the customer's HDMI output works once, like in this configuration. I think we can just bypass this chip though. So that chip clearly is, something's not working with the chip here. Anyway, this I think this is like saying undervolt detection, which is not that important. I'm just going to bridge it for now. I mean, it might well be the issue. Like it might literally be holding the circuit in reset. I can always look at the schematic if it is. But let's just presume it's not that for now. And get this in, HDMI. I think, does it need USB power, this thing? I think it does, doesn't it? So this needs a bit of power. There. Then this HDMI now, we should be able to what do I do here? Got the wrong end of it. I need this one. It needs to go into here. I keep needing to buy a HDMI coupler so I can do that. There we go, no signal. So if I turn that on now, plug the USB in. Turn that on. Does it find signal? Yeah, that finds it fine. So that's probably just the... I don't think I'm using a clean RGB cable. That's just a random off-the-shelf RGB cable I've got, which probably doesn't like the sync level. Right, what does I need now? Game. Let's see if this can handle the game load, because that's much heavier. Yep. You can see, has that got some glitchy artifacts? It looks all right. Let's play a game, that's how we'll know. Yeah, it looks pretty all right. Restart with the start button held. And then, I haven't heard any audio yet, but again, bear in mind this HDMI, there you go, audio. Again, so this HDMI capture card often glitches and you don't hear stuff. Have I flipped over the component that snapped off? I don't think so. I mean, maybe I have, maybe that's why that's not running, but either way, we've bridged it and it's working fine. Anyone can look back on stream maybe and let me know, or I can pull up a picture on the wiki actually. Let's have a quick look on the wiki. Neo Geo AES. Initial power up. Scroll down. Yeah, I think that's why that chip's not working. It's on upside down. So we can flip him over and restore him. Yeah, the thing is, what I'm thinking is, it's just, there's no inductor. So it's not boosting voltage. At most, it's maybe bucking voltage if you put in higher than 5 volts. I should probably test it at some point. So it's probably a... I mean, everyone's... You know what? Everyone's always said this version of Neo Geo is 5 volts. I wonder if it isn't. I wonder if it is actually... I wonder if it can be run from 9 volts, and that transistor bucks the voltage. Like, I've always just trusted it's 5 volt because you can buy a 5 volt 5 volt plug for it, basically. But then it's just become gospel online that people say it's a 5 volt version, and that, you know, you'll damage it using a 9 volt. But I've never tested it myself, you know. Could be another one of them things where one person said it once and we've all listened, including me, and I've never actually tested if this is true and does it really not support 9 volt. Because, like I say, I just saw a video yesterday with Tronics Fix doing one of these, and he plugged a 9 volt straight into the straight into this version of the board, and it didn't kill it. So I'm presuming the ESD protection saved it, but could be that it's actually it supports 5 volts, 9 volts, but I doubt it because on the one he did, it didn't work with the 5 volts, the 9 volts, and then it did with the 5. So we'll test it anyway. I'm more intrigued. But yeah, that's working. Let's flip over the component I've soldered on the wrong way and remove the bridge. So we've actually got the thing installed right, because that's yeah, that's not gonna, there's no point not pointing back on if it works. Unplug that. So flip this around. Ooh, it's getting hot. There we go. Maybe that's why I didn't want to bend down when I put it on the other way as well. Let's leave it flat. There we go. Let's just bridge extra solder on that. Extra on that. Let's flip it around, make sure. Yeah, it's fine on the bottom. Probably needs a little bit removing. So just watch out if you're reflowing this one. It does run quite a bit of solder the other side. Right, so that's back to stock. Let's now see if it still boots. Problem about an XG OG Xbox? Yeah, just ask away. Like I said, I rarely spot chat on TikTok at the minute because it's a separate chat thing on one side and the blockers, so we pretty much get no chat at the minute on TikTok, so I'm not really focusing over there. Wrong screen. Would help if I put the HDMI up. Yes, that now works. With that fixed. Now my curiosity is what's going on here. Shall we take a look under the actual scope and see what's happening? Because that's clearly where the power to the whole system passes through. And this has always been rumoured to be the 5-volt version of the Neo Geo. Is it really? Or has everybody got it wrong up to this point? Let's find out. So we need a ground, which is a known ground. We'll go all the way up here to the output, just to be absolutely sure. And then we will grip on. Well, this desk is getting cluttered. I might have to go after this, actually, to be honest, as well. It's getting quite late. I kind of want to show you the reset button, though, but we'll see. See on time. Just pushing it a bit for getting things ready. Right. We'll open up the scope. And I even wrote on here it's a NPN transistor switch, but I've got a feeling I've written that because I've been told and presumed that it's a 5-volt version. But then why have I put transistor switch? Yeah, I'm not quite sure why I wrote transistor switch if I didn't investigate. So this obviously, with the coil, is definitely 9-volt to 5-volt. But I've got a feeling this is gonna buck it down. We'll see. I'm intrigued. It's been a long while since I worked on this version of Neo Geo as well. So memory isn't exactly doing me much favours here. Right, so we need power in. We don't care about the video out at the minute. Click on there, turn it on. Oops, turn it on. So that's the 5-volt in, obviously. 5-volt out, slightly higher, maybe. And then the pin here, so you can see the base has just been enabled permanently. So 5-volt in, 5-volt out. Now the question is, if I put more than 5 volts in, do we still get 5 volts out? So for that, I'm going to have to get my bench. We'll go up slowly because you don't want to kill the Neo Geo, obviously. We'll go to 5.5. It's pretty safe. That's 5.5. Now then, ground is ground. We can grip on there, and then I can just stabby stab this in to inject 5.5 volts. And let's see what's going on. So if I probe on here and inject 5.5, why have we got no? There we go, 5.5 there, 5.5 there, so it's not regulating. And the base is turning on. So it's not regulated, it isn't safe for anything above 5 volts. What that'll be then is the base will be turned off, I reckon, if it detects under voltage. So in fact, why don't we just prove that? Let's find out what this is. Let's try 4 volts. And it'll basically turn off the system if there's not enough voltage, as my guess, so power won't flow. So if we inject 4 volts here, 4 volts is there, 4 volts is there, base is there, no, so it's not there either. So there will be some kind of voltage supervisor or reset circuit. Is the reset actually just cutting power? Is it just the reset button? It could be all that is. Plug in just normal power. So it's not under voltage either. There is an under voltage detection somewhere, but I bet this is just your press reset. Nope, it's not even there. Don't know then. Okay. Not that interested to look into it further yet, but it is not safe for anything above 5 volts. That is still definitely a 5-volt system. I just thought maybe that was going to be like a... It almost can't just be a pulsing transistor because there's no storage, there's no inductor for, you know, flyback or anything like that. So it kind of makes sense it has to be a 5-volt circuit. But it could have been a buck circuit without the inductor. It just isn't. So it does look like the info is right on them. They are 5-volt systems that shouldn't be run at 9 volt. But they're not going to instantly die at 9 volt. Right, so this is still working. Let me just unplug that for now. Clear up my desk a little bit. And have I got time? Yeah, I can. Hopefully I've got time to quickly do this reset light. It's just cool. I want to show you the reset light because we don't sell many because I don't advertise it. Not many people see it. And I've got a tub full below my feet that I need to try and sell. So maybe one of you guys will buy one. Don't need that game for now. We don't need that cable. We will need this to program the clean light. We don't need the scope now. Don't think I need hot air. Right. Let's get this ground wire off. And then I need to take a look at my own guide. I noticed I have a few Xbox OGs with dead hard drives and no mod yet. Any suggestions on repair? The simplest way is to, depends on what equipment you've got, but what you need to do is read the EEPROM. So there's a little chip on the board, which is, I've probably got a guide on retro6.wiki. Well, I will have. Yeah, I do have, definitely. So pull this up. Basically, what you need to do is, you can get another hard drive if you want. Just an ID hard drive is the cheapest, and replace that hard drive. Then you've got to use something called Fat Explorer to lock that. Like, you can reformat the hard drive in Fat Explorer. Then you need to lock it with the key that's in the EEPROM. So your first step is, I think there's literally a guide specifically for this. So hard drive replacement here. Basically says best tool for formatting hard drives is Fat Explorer. Just download that, read how to use it. You need to read the hard drive key. It'll look something like this. Basically, to do that, you go to this EEPROM dump. You'll have an EEPROM here, which is storing that key. You can either lift that off the board, solder wires to it, or mod chip the console, so you don't need to do any of this. There's multiple options. What I do is just desolder it off the board, chuck it inside of a EEPROM reader, like this, which is a T56, and I read the EEPROM. Tells you how to do all of it, and then you can use this thing called original Xbox EEPROM editor, which finally pulls you the hard drive key. That then you use in Fat Explorer. So you then get your new hard drive, plug it into the PC, format the hard drive, tells you how to do it all here, and then once you're done, install the dashboard. Again, tells you how to do all of that, and then lock in the hard drive. This is the thing you need to do. You don't need to do this if you mod the console, but if you're not modding it, you need to relock it with that key that you found off the EEPROM by typing it in here and clicking set password. And then it'll boot up, basically. But there's tons of info on the wiki, Xbox Original, for how to do all that. It's not the simplest task, but once you've done it, it's not that hard. Yeah, you can use a Pico as well. I could probably write a bit of code to do it. Well, I definitely could. Probably write a bit of code. Yeah, let's not get into that. I was going to say I can go even further down a rabbit hole there and make one that can actually lock and format the hard drive as well. But Neo Geo Uni, someone's just brought some. Yes, those are it. That's how it works, all kicking off now. Yeah, right, let's try and get this done quick. So speaking of Pico, here's a Pico. So the Neo Geo clean light, the reset button clean light is here. This is basically just a Raspberry Pi I've put on a little dedicated board. So we can plug this into PC and program it, because this I haven't programmed yet. So hold the button, plug in. It should pop up on my screen. Oh, wrong cable, that's not even plugged into my PC. Let's try that again. Connect that up there. I think this will be blank anyway, so it'll probably pop up. No, it didn't. Right. That's it. And then these come pre-programmed, by the way. I'm just this is just at the side of me that I need to program. Neo Geo AES clean light button, releases button, paste in. There we go. So that's the board programmed. And now we have to install it. So this puts a light on the reset button, but as well as the light, it allows you to have a soft reset. So you can hold this button to reset the console. Just bear with me, guys. Sorry about guys. No, I hadn't lost it. I was on a phone call. So I'm just trying to stick this sticky tape on the back. So what we have here, the guide's up there. I've just applied the sticky tape to the back of this that comes with the kit. One thing I noticed the other day, Zach installed one of these, plugged it in backwards and the thing smokes. Didn't kill it, but I didn't realise it'd smoke. I must have wired it that way that it does. So see, you got a little in here, and this is an output in case you want to daisy chain to future mods. So this just sticks over the reset button, but make sure that in, you put the cable in, if you know what I mean. Don't put in the output because it'll just short the 5-volt rail and smoke, basically. So this cable doesn't matter which way around it goes in, so long as if you put the blue side in here, you then also put the blue side in here, basically. So that plugs in there. Same on this, put double-sided tape on here. So let's just apply that. So that sticks on the back of there. Peel that off. And then this can go anywhere. So I normally stick it, I think, on here. Like this, and then do a little origami fold of this cable. It's nice and long, just so you can position it anywhere you want. So for now, just because I'm going to show it off, and like I say, I'll be doing all the fitment into the shell later. So I'm not fussed about fitting it all in the shell at the minute. I'm just going to get this inserted into there. It doesn't want to go in for some reason. Probably would have been easier to put this in before I stuck it to the board. There we go. Yeah, that's in. And now we need to just wire up a few things. So if we looked at the guide, that shows it off, the little video. There are all the colours you can have. Installation. You want ground and 5 volts, which do I show? Ground and 5 volts. Yeah, so I kind of point that there's a chip with 5 volts. So we've got ground and 5 volts on here, so we'll just do that one first. We'll move him around like that for now. There we go. And we're just going to tap off. 5 volts is here, ground is here. So we'll get some enameled wire. Yeah, 5 volts is there. It's 5 volts, and we'll do the same for the ground. Ground's up here. So that's a 5 volt and ground. And then we have to, because we need to pass through the reset button, because this will be a soft reset, we need to cut the trace coming out of the reset button, which is what this is showing. We need to add a pull-up back to 5 volts, and then we need to go back to the chip. So let's look at the reset button first, which is, this is a 2-pin reset button. So this reset button just has these 2 traces, this one and this one, which, knowing my luck, this reset button is going to be completely different than the other one. And this mod probably won't work on this one. I could really do with looking at the schematic on this one. I know what I'm doing. It's not going to. That's got a resistor already. It's a pull up. So I think this is still the same. I think it's just a resistor that pulls down the pin. So we need to cut one side, and then that goes there. Did I write where it actually goes to? Or did I not? No, so one side will be 5 volts. I'm guessing we'll have to figure this out ourselves, because I haven't got this on the guide yet. So one side's going to be top of here. So that's going to be the 5 volts. One side of this button is going to be pulled up to 5 volts. So I'm going to guess that's the resistor. The other side will be ground, actually. So that side's ground. So there you go. So that's syncing to ground. This is the resistor to the reset button. So it's actually a bit easier on this one. 2 pins there. So these 2 resistors are attached to the reset button. Why is the 2 though? It's slightly concerning. One's a 47 ohm going somewhere. The 10K is the pull-up, where's the 47k going is my concern. It's going all the way over to the C0. So will we want... So we've got this. This is here to there. That pulls down. That pulls up. And that's grounding. So this pin is grounding the C0, which we also want to. So this is the shared point. So what we need to do is... I'll probably have to add this to the guide because this is not like the others. But if I've understood that correctly... let's remove these two resistors. Well, lift them up basically. I'll explain after, once I'm, well, I know what it's doing now, but I'll explain in a minute what I'm actually doing, why we're lifting these out. There we go. So if we lift them two resistors up out the way, you can see now we've made, well, we will make a shared pin here. So we'll join these two together. And then we've basically interrupted the reset button from doing anything. So now the reset button grounds this pin here, which goes nowhere. And this goes to the rest of the system. So this is now the output. So this will be the reset out going to pin 20 of the power core. So you can see here, pin 20 is this one. So the output, which is controlled by our chip, will go to that new pin that used to be connected to the reset button. And that will connect to our new pad. It's always fun figuring out a new install live. He goes onto there. And now this pad, this is where we need to re-pull up that switch, because this was originally being pulled up to 5 volts. So, to be honest, if that was already pulled up to 5 volts, no, we need both. We now just need another 10k going back in here, basically, to pull it back up to 5 volts. So I can use a normal one for this. Doesn't need to be 10k, it can be anywhere close. See if I've even got resistors. Yeah, right at the bottom. The exact wire I'm using, I've got this from my factory. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, what's that? I've got this from my factory direct, this blue stuff, but you'll find most of it on AliExpress if you type in enameled wire. You might not find the blue, but like I say, I've got... I might start selling it as well, to be honest, because I know we've stopped selling all this kind of stuff, but with doing the live streams, a lot of people keep asking, so is there anybody in the stream right now, for example, that actually wants that wire? Because I could start selling like the enameled wire again, maybe even like the tweezers. Even I just usually recommend people go AliExpress to buy some of the stuff, but like the wire, for example, this isn't on AliExpress, this is one I've actually got with my factory, so... don't know if it's something you guys want. I can get some into stock, even though, like I say, we literally went the opposite way. We stopped stocking this stuff. I can always re-add it now. People are more requesting it, basically. Right, so that can be pulled back up to the 5 volt. So this side's basically just 5 volt there. So we have kept the original reset button here, pulled high to 5 volts here, and then this is the output. So this is now the new output that gets sunk low by our chip when we want it to, which will still go over to the here, which goes to the C0. And this is still pulled high by default. So now that means this pad, which is also this pad, these are shared, this is now the input. So we can solder a enameled wire to there. I think I can get rid of that guide over the top now because I think we're basically done with it. And if I've thought that through in my head correctly, this should work. Oh, thanks for the sub, Tim. Very much appreciated. We've got sub-only streams tomorrow and Wednesday. We're probably going to start remaking, I think. I'll see in Elite members whether we decide we're going to remake the Game Boy. I think we'll remake the Game Boy PCB, teach you how to do that basically. So you'll learn some hardware. I'll be doing repairs as well on there, but the sub-onlys just let you have a bit more direct one-to-one time with me, I guess, so you get more rapid responses on chat, more feedback. I can show you things you need to know, and obviously you're supporting the channel, which is awesome. So I still do, you know, keep doing these streams basically. Now this wire is the input now. Oh, I've just closed the guide and I needed to know which wire was the input. I'll have to reopen it. I could actually grab the wire, geez. Right, oh, it's still open on my screen. Pin 17 it was. So pin 17 is next to it. So what this does is our chip now is in full control of the reset button. So, oh yeah, as well as the, yeah, if you're a sub as well, you get 10% off everything on Retro 6, like permanently as well. So join discord.gg/retro6, and then make sure you link your YouTube or Twitch username to Discord. You'll get invited to something called Elite Members, and then in there you can scroll up and find the discount codes, and usually every month or so I'll change the code so that you have to stay subbed in effect to get the 10% discount. But then, so even if you just wanted to buy one thing off the store, it's probably still worth subbing because you get the discount. So yeah, what this basically does now is this reset button has ground on the top side. This side then is pulled to 5 volts. So this pin will go somewhere to the system to reset it, including going through this resistor and over to there in this case. So this would normally sync this pin here. So if we pulled this pin to ground, you reset the system. So now what we've done instead is lifted the 2 pins out, which was, by looking at it quickly, the only place this went. So here's the ground pad. Here's the other reset button that goes only up to here. Now it goes to 2 pins there. And oh, no, it goes further than that because they're the 2 resistors, but there's also 3 pins here. So it goes to this as well. This PST, so we might need to move that position. I think we will, unfortunately, because this will be, well, I'll say that, we just need to move the leg of this to the output, actually. So I'm going to be semi-lazy there, and I'm going to cut the trace this side, and then wire over. Will that work? No, it's not. I'm definitely going to be slightly lazy here, and I'm going to cut that trace, or cut that pin off the chip, just because I can definitely get my soldering iron in here no problem, so I'm confident in this. I'm going to lift that leg up. So I'm going to lift the leg up of this. I think this is the voltage supervisor thing goes on about, or the reset supervisor. So can you see that? I basically just cut that leg off here because this was also going to the reset, and I'll wire this over to here. So a bit complicated. You don't need to understand this. I'll make a proper guide for it. I'm just obviously figuring this out live as I go. But ultimately the idea of this is you just, wherever the reset button would typically go, you're cutting the trace, splitting it off so the original input goes to 17 and the output comes to 20, and then you have to pull up 17. So the better guide would probably be to say, add a pull-up resistor from here to here to stop any confusion. So add a 10k resistor between these 2 points, basically, and then cut the trace from the reset button and wire into that, out to that. That makes a lot more sense, actually, than trying to do this confusing way and having multiple guides. So I'll probably improve that install guide. Well, I will improve the install guide. It's a very simple concept, but it just looks a bit complicated to when you see things like this being lifted up and changed and moved. And in my head, it's nice and simple, but as a guide, it looks like, you know, quite complicated now, but it really isn't. And I presume I've done this right anyway. Pretty sure I have. I just don't like the fact that this board is multi-layer and I don't have the schematic to hand to confirm anything, but there's no vias, so at least we know we should have all the pins here. And that should be it, I think. If I've done everything right, this should be a colour changing reset button, and holding it should actually reset the console. Tapping it should reset the console, holding it should change the colours. Presuming, like I say, I've done this right. So let's plug the power in first. Hey, there we go. Right, and holding it. Yeah, cycle the colours. So there's all the colours changing. So let me maybe get an actual button so you can see. Oh, something's wrong because it's still cycling. Which, maybe that pull-up resistor isn't working. I'll have to measure that. Something's not right on that bit. Or has the pull-up got to be stronger than... Oh, actually, I think the pull-up has to be stronger than that. I think it's on the guide and says that. Let me read my own guide. Oh, yeah, I've put a 1K resistor on, so I'm going to presume that is just... that's not a strong enough pull-up, this one here I've put on, is my guess. Yeah, on the guide, it says use a 1K, but then it says it's okay to use between 1 and 10K. I clearly didn't test that, or at least on this model. So let's change that out for a 1K resistor. And yeah, I'll just get one from here. I mean, that should have worked, but obviously, unless I've wired something else wrong, I'm going to even use a 500 ohm resistor because it's sitting on top. So let's just use that. Hey, welcome in from Algeria. Let's add the pull-up back to here then, I guess. I'm pretty sure that's the only issue. Pretty simple board design. And I'm presuming this is 5 volts here. That's my other presumption. I'm pretty sure. I just probed it quickly and said that's obviously like 5 volts on the voltage. We might have just not wired it to the right place as well as the other option, but pretty sure that's it. So pull-up resistors now definitely fine. Connect power again. So stays on, doesn't change colour, I presume. No, cool. And then when we press it once, and let go. Yeah, there we go. So you just need a stronger pull-up. So now we hold this down and let go. You change the colour of the button. And if you let go, then it stays where it is. If I zoom out as well so you can see, I should have just shown you this as well. So this light indicates when you're doing something. So if I press the button, that goes red. If I let go of the button, it goes back to purple. If I tap it, you can see it just briefly does that. So tapping it should actually reset this system, and holding it will change the colour, basically. So that's all that up and running, and then that looks nice when it's obviously installed in a console because you get a bit darker visuals, and this is under studio lighting, but you can see all the colours, and then you can have like a multicolour one as well. Yeah, that's that button all installed and good to go. So this has got to have, what have we got to do still? It's got to have that installed in the case, heat sinks put on, and that's it really, and cleaned up and ready to go. So that's pretty much the build done. So I'll get this one built up, and that customer in the US might get it for Christmas. It's like, I doubt it though. You've got like 2 days, but obviously it was ordered only 5 days ago, so at least it'll be getting out there. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, and I'll be back on for subs tomorrow. Yeah, good quality silicon wire. I used to use it, but I'm still tempted to maybe go back to it just for being able to strip the wires quicker. Is the only reason I'm thinking about doing that as well. It's definitely a lot quicker to strip normal silicon wire than it is enameled wire, basically. So that's all I normally do with that one. I just cut the end off, and then that now looks clean, and then that gets epoxied in. So I'll just put the 4 screws in there. See if my little baby screwdriver is strong enough. Yeah, just about. Sweet. Yeah, to be honest, you can use this for the Sega Master System too. This is pretty universal as well. So any system that's got a 5-volt, well, I can code it for anything, but any of the old systems with the 5-volt inputs or reset buttons, you don't even need to bypass the reset button. You can just have an input, and just holding that button, syncing that button to ground causes it to cycle modes. And then the LEDs are just NeoPixel LEDs, so WS, is it 2812 or something like that they are? That's all the LEDs are. So pretty flexible. You could literally use this kit. So you have a nice little ring light on a button, or we could make one custom for it. Right, so that's it, guys. I will catch you. Well, I'll catch subs tomorrow, and I'll catch everybody else probably after Christmas now, I'd say, because it'll be 2 sub streams. I don't think I'll be doing public streams until after Christmas now. Oh, got another sub as well. I just noticed that. Thanks, Marat, for the sub. Making or fixing a board, we have just finished modding this board. So it's a Neo Geo AES. Obviously, this one's just a shelf with a crack. We're not using this one, but big home arcade system. It's got USB-C power now. It's got HDMI output. It's got a colour changing reset button now, as we've just seen, that remembers the setting. So we've got a nice little button we can set up to any colour. Or you can have it turned off if you don't want it on. It doesn't have to be on. I like the blue myself. I'm going to set it up to blue. Green's nice as well. Now pure blue, I think. That's one of my favourites. So just pure blue. I've got to put heat sinks on the chips, and I think that's it. And then this can get sent off to the customer, basically. Link to the sub on the website. No, you just go to YouTube or Twitch, and then on YouTube it's called Become a Member or something, and on Twitch it's however you sub to Twitch. If you go to retro6.live, it's a new website. It basically links to all the info on the live stuff. I should probably put as well on there. So on retro6.live, I could put an actual clickable link, I guess, to say, you know, click here to sub. But I'm pretty sure on YouTube, like if you're on the live, you can just click like member, and on Twitch you can just become a sub, basically. But yeah, if you go to retro6.live, that's a new website, by the way, with all the schedules and all the past videos and everything. So yeah, jump on that, and then like I say, go on discord.gg/retro6, link your username for Twitch or YouTube to that, and you get invited to an elite members chat, basically. Drop the shell on for display. Yeah, actually, it's not a bad idea, because it does look pretty sick. Can we get that through? Yeah, look at that. And then maybe lights off. To be honest, it looks better with the lights on. Maybe one light on. Yeah, that's like how you'll see it in there. See it in your console, and that's still a bit. This camera's still a bit over brightening. Maybe both lights on then. Yeah, it's kind of, to be honest, with the lights on, it looks almost more like it does. It's just, it is a bit like nicer than that. The exposure. It's more like, oh, pushing the button down. It's more like that. On the colours, and then just like a random multicolour. That's like the Windows logo. And then off, and then red. Yeah, a lot of people like the red, to be honest. It's like one of the favourite colours. Right, yeah. Thanks, guys, for joining in, and I'll see subs